Welcome back to Wittenberg's elementary Latin course. We're ready to continue on with Minimus in chapter 3, page 18. We're going to learn how Pandora, the slave girl, settles back in with the family. The two slaves are having a competition. They both want to impress Pandora. So Corinthus says, Salve, Corinthus sum, optimus sum, quod lego. Salve, remember what that means? Hello. Hello, Corinthus sum, I am Corinthus. Optimus sum, quod lego. Optimus, the best. Sum, I am the best, quod lego, because, quod means because, I read. Optimus sum, quod lego, I am the best because I read. Salve, says Candidus. Candidus sum, optimus sum, quod quoquo. Optimus sum, quod quoquo. Hello, I am Candidus. I am the best because I cook. Quoquo, I cook. I don't think Pandora looks very impressed with either of them. And in panel 3, minime, optimus non est quod non legis. Minime, not at all. Optimus non est quod non legis. Optimus non est, you are not the best, quod non legis, because you do not read. Minime, optimus non est, quod non coquis. Minime, not at all. Optimus non est, you are not the best, quod non coquis, because you do not cook. Minime, optimus sum, quod pulcher sum. Minime, not at all. Optimus sum, quod pulcher sum. I am the best because I am handsome. Minime, optimus sum, quod validus sum. Minime, optimus sum, quod validus sum. Not at all. I am the best because, what must validus mean? Because I am strong. Subito, Rufus intrat. Subito, Rufus intrat. Suddenly, Rufus comes in. Minime, Rufus optimus est, quod semper ridit. Rufus optimus est, Rufus is the best, quod semper ridit, because he always smiles. Okay, so on the top of page 19, you've just got a few new words. Quod means because. Minime means no or not at all. Legis means you read. Coquis means you cook. Validus means strong. And semper means always. Very good. And now let's learn about Pandora's name. The Greeks told this story to explain how trouble came into the world. When the world was young and men were new and perfect, Jupiter, king of the gods, became afraid. What if these humans tried to take over from him? He studied them carefully and came up with a plan. Jupiter asked Vulcan, the god of craft and skill, to make a woman out of clay. The gods then gave her gifts of beauty, kindness, and grace. Jupiter brought her to life and named her Pandora. He led her to earth to a house where a man called Epimetheus lived. Epimetheus was a good but simple man, and Jupiter gave him Pandora as his bride. He also gave them a box with strict instructions not to open it. Pandora was happy with her husband, but she kept thinking about the strange box. Why shouldn't she open it? She grew more and more curious, just as Jupiter had intended. Eventually, she couldn't stand it any longer. She took out the box and opened the lid. Immediately, a cloud of flying, stinging creatures filled the air. They were all the troubles of humanity: disease, hate, anger, old age, and many more. Pandora tried to shut the lid, but it was too late. Only one thing was left, shining in a corner of the box. It was hope. Humans would never trouble Jupiter now with so many troubles of their own, but at least they had hope for the future. So that's the story of Pandora's box. And that's, many of the slaves are Greek, and so they'll have Greek names. Page 20. Working with a partner, see how many English words you can think of which come from these Latin words. Scribit, for he writes. Oh, there's scribe, right? Someone who writes. Spectat, he watches. So spectator. right? So someone who watches a game, the spectators in the crowd. And laborant, they work. Well, how about labor and laborers? And you can probably think of many more. In each of the following sentences, a word is underlined. These words all come from Latin. Working with a partner, write down the Latin word that each English word comes from. Then write down what you think these words mean. You can find clues by looking carefully at the picture story Pandora settles in. For example, the doctor wrote out a prescription. Prescription from the Latin word scribit, a written message to a chemist. And then you've got optimum, right? Optimum, invalids, minimize, sedentary introduction. So you can think through those and look through the story and try to figure out which words they come from. And then I'm sure your mom or dad can find them very quickly, exactly where they come from in the story if you get stuck on any of them. But I bet you'll be able to find them. And here we have many new words. Some are review and some are new. So you'll need to write down all these in your note cards or your notebook and begin to study them. And for this week, study all the vocabulary in Chapter 3, and we'll look to have a quiz over vocabulary at the beginning of next week. So these new words, coquo, I cook, facio, I do, intro, I enter, laboro, I work, lego, I read, rideo, I smile, scribo, I write, sedeo, I sit, specto, I watch, semper, always, subito, suddenly, anquila is a slave girl, nous or noah, nous is masculine, noah is feminine, means new, and nunc means now. So copy those into whatever vocabulary system you're using, either note cards or a notebook, and make sure you begin studying all your vocabulary, and we'll have a cumulative quiz on vocabulary, Lord willing, next week. Wale.